Arteezy gets the bash bottom, almost enough for the kill. He popped the enrage a bit late. I think with the instant enrage before blinking, maybe he gets that, but you can never really assume you're going to get the first hit bash. Close call there.
That's a item that caught Q a bit by surprise, but
well, he had seen it,
okay,
but you know, if he doesn't get first hit bash, I guess he's fine.
Yeah, you can't just not split push because you're afraid of a first hit bash. Q's mechanics are so fast that he's going to be able to get the Fire Remnant away after like one right click, 9 times out of 10.
He's got to be a little frustrated with that. If he doesn't get first hit bash, I guess he's fine.
Yeah, you can't just not
2 and 3, but all those kills came in the very early laning stage.
So fast that
he's catching up in terms of last hits, in terms of
get the Fire Remnant away.
And the relic you mentioned, it's online. They leave MP top, but he's available to join as they've smoked and headed towards mid. If he doesn't get first hit bash, I guess he's fine.
Yeah, you can't just not
2 and 3, but all those kills came in the very early laning stage. They might have to sacrifice the last hits in terms of
get the Fire Remnant away.
And the relic you mentioned, it's online. They leave MP top, but he's available to join as they smoked and headed towards mid. I don't know if there's a place in there. It's like, all right, you can't just not 2 and 3, but all those kills came in the very early laning stage. They might have to sacrifice the comes through, get the Fire Remnant, and the relic you mentioned, it's online. They leave MP top, but he's available to join as they slow down. He's headed towards mid. I don't know if there's a place in there. It's like, all right, you can't just 2 and 3, but all those kills came in the very early laning stage. They might have to sacrifice the Fire Remnant, and the relic you mentioned, it's online. They leave MP top. Yeah, they don't have the radius, but without that, it just doesn't seem there's any chance MVP goes through. Maybe the last hit steal from Q, but no slight of fist ready.
The timing is actually to get them themselves take towers, keep up Radiant's bear. They're going to be ready to fight MVP and MVP much more inclined to kind of switch the map, have people on one of the side lanes pushing lanes out, even have the Spectre on the other side lane pushing things out, and then kind of try and see what else can come their way, because Radiant fights bear
up against Exorcism, you have Aegis on the EG side, and you've got no buybacks. The only way you can try and defend is to throw your lives away, and then EG just come right back at you.
Arteezy completed Abyssal Blade, and it looks like he wants to come back if MVP continue pursuit.
I mean, QO at this stage of the game is just going to get shut down hard by Artur.
At some point, you're going to be that 10th of a second late. He gets off the Abyssal, you die. Even if you're good 8 out of 10 times, 9 out of 10 times, you still give up that one crucial death, and that may just lead to the EG push.
For MVP. They know they've taken out the Aegis. There's, I think, what, just the one bear from the universe. They want to fight now because if they give time for EG to reset, get another Exorcism up, it's just game over. They've got to fight when Exorcism is down, and they've got to play hyper-aggressive around that cooldown, and just, because they're so far behind, they've just got to take this big risk.
They have the Haunt, and QO moves in. He's seen the Crystal Maiden, but he wants someone else. The chains don't connect, but they still commit the Haunt. Driving onto PPD. This could be a dieback on the Crystal Maiden for whatever that's worth. But everybody else making it back. They now Savage Roar.
He knows how important
drawing MVP away from this, and QO is going to get silenced. They're going to swap in the Spirit Bear of all things just so Dubu can get off a stun. Forev almost dying instantly to Arteezy, who already used this Abyssal Blade, but now they've got them on the run. No buyback on the Ember Spirit. He's down and out for the count, and frantically they beam themselves back to safety. But now they've blown the Haunt. They've failed here on the gank.
Unfortunately, QO just couldn't quite land the Searing Chains with that Sleight of Fist, and you could even see how kind of desperate MVP were and how important they realized that smoke gank was. That was their last play in this game, in my mind. QO was like on the low ground by the tier 3 tower, and he even knew, like, do I need a Remnant high ground? Like, you could tell he wanted to chase them into EG's base. And this is when you're down 10 plus kills. You're down a lane of racks, but the only way MVP can kind of turn this one around is by playing super aggressive, and unfortunately it doesn't pay off. EG once again have Exorcism, once again have multiple Spirit Bears on Universe, and this is going to be probably a second lane of racks and probably just straight up GG following that failed aggression from MVP.
Yeah, not only did he know they needed to go all in on the fight, but they couldn't just settle for a Crystal Maiden kill. He didn't even bother going for PPD. He had vision, but went for the bigger, higher priority targets. Didn't work out. And now MVP are absolutely up against it as Arteezy jumps in again. Dubu there with the swap. Arteezy lets out his frustration on the Vengeful Spirit, and she won't stand against it long. Now a second melee rack, almost guaranteed to drop here for the side. A dagger coming in. But do they follow this up? PPD's low. MP being forced back though, and MP trying to get to work here, and Artur might be able to kill off the Ursa. That could be pretty nice for them. They silence QO though, preventing the Sleight of Fist, and he will in the end drop, but already the melee has fallen. They need more kills. Justin Ursa's not enough for 2 lanes of rank, but the Ghosts are returning, bringing Sumail back.
Ursa's the distraction. He's not even the important hero. It's the Lone Druid and the DP who are the key heroes right now for EG.
They're chasing. Remnant forward. He's going to find 2 here. QO with the big catch, and MP rejoining the fight.
What a TP.
They're looking for more,
out.
but he gets away. Only Fear going down.
Great Savage Roar TP, and
got the silence off there as well. Just great teamwork from EG, and even though they lose a hero or 2, one of them a core, it's already 2 lanes of Rex, Scots. We're not even 30 minutes in.
And unfortunately, LD for MVP. Once Exorcism is back up, rinse, repeat. EG will just keep on coming. They don't even have to wait for Aegis. They can if they want to, because you've got Ursa. If you don't wait for Aegis, the Ursa may die again, but I reckon they take... basically, the plan is Ursa blinks in, gets a kill or 2, he dies, but meanwhile, the Lone Druid and Death Prophet take racks. If you want to wait for Aegis, the same plan happens, except Ursa doesn't die because he's got an Aegis.
Well,
it depends how much Arteezy cares about his stats right now,
there might be a little less Peter if they wait for the Aegis, so.
Peter, help me, grave me. Oh wait, you're a CM. That's not working. He's got a Glimmer.
Help. He's got a Glimmer Cape.
There we go. He's going to have a 4-stuff maybe soon.
Then he can shove Arteezy into the enemy well and make him quit his whining.
Save me, get some items, help me out, buddy.
But on a serious note, EG, they're very close now. In fact, just have enough for an Assault Caress for Universe, so that's a big item they're about to grab. Aside from that, Sumail completed an Octarine a couple of minutes ago, and Arteezy, we see him moving in now. This could be the killing blow if he finds a pick-off. And at that moment, MVP's suffering will be extended by a quick pause. Lag and a PC crash.
Yep.
Haven't heard of those happening before. So MVP, almost certain to lose at this stage. It's going to take like 4 or 5 ridiculous fights in a row just to have a chance in this game.
There's a certain website for EG that may get updated should they lose this game.
I wonder if that guy still is around. Did we ever figure out who's behind that magical website?
I do not know.
Well, whoever he is.
Ice Frog, maybe. Just as mysterious.
How great would it be if it was Ice Mafia?
I mean, he loves the memes.
You know what's funny? Ever since Bruno went to work for Valve, that certain website hasn't been getting updated very often. I'm just saying, maybe there's a connection. Wouldn't surprise me. Bruno's always been a secret fan anyway.
Well,
Arteezy's hunting, though.
I mean, Sumail picks up a 4th item, Aether Lens, at 29 minutes in. Not something you'd normally expect, but I think he's just like, yeah, we kind of got this game. What can I buy that's going to just give me something for this next fight?
So I imagine if you're QO as well, you're thinking like maybe even straight Rapier here.
Yep, Rapier, absolutely.
Not even a risky play, probably the only play. But, well, no plays for QO. TP's out on the high ground and just gets ripped to bits.
Unfortunately, MVP, they were kind of laying a trap at top lane, waiting for EG to come push top. They're expecting them to go for a push with Exism. And that top lane, the last lane of Rax, are like, okay, let's just set up and jump them really far away from our base. So even if the fight goes 50-50, EG, if you take a 50-50 fight in your own base, you're losing Rax because Exorcism, Lone Druid are just hitting the building. So they want to try to take the fight outside of their base, but EG have other ideas. They want to wait for Roshan. And
EG, they're pretty much happy to take the fight anywhere and everywhere at this point. They're going to get an Aegis. This time it'll come with the cheese. MVP, a small effort to get some gold before the last Rumble.
Not really any item or level that's going to save MVP at this stage of the game.
And they, they've done a decent job at kiting the Ursa with the swap, the double Ghost Scepter, but one of those is no longer going to be effective. Arteezy now has the Diffusal Blade, so Febby and Forev, not safe anymore from the Angry Bear. So, as you said, push out the mid and bottom lanes, rotate on top.
Interestingly, is like it doesn't
seems like the EG plan.
It seems EG maybe recognize what MVP are up to, trying to just camp all their heroes at top lane, waiting for a gank, and EG are kind of hovering around mid. They're not just straight like rolling down this top lane, pushing it out.
It almost seems like MVP want to ambush them as they arrive at the top lane, which is where
they've set up wards.
They're expecting the push to start around here, and they want to catch them out. But they will see Fear first. Okay. This could be big. They're going to BOT in the Ember Spirit looking for their first pickoff, but Fear gets the kickoff, and it connects on 3. Huge one there from the old man. Gets the silence off, dropping the Magnetize, and Sumail starts to press forward. 4 heroes affected by it, afflicted even, and QO having just BOT'd in. Doesn't have a great way out. Down he goes. No buyback there in the Ember Spirit. In the trees as well. Your Benj has been entangled, thrown up in the air, pounded back down onto the earth. 2 more crucial deaths with no buybacks. And meanwhile, mid's getting shoved in by Arteezy. Still has the cheese, a little midnight snack here for the Ursa. And it looks like any second now, we'll see another kill. A big jump in, lying down. Forev trying to get work done. He's going to double diffuse him just before the Ghost Scepter, and then pops a second, securing the kill. An immediate buyback from Forev. But it's just too much. The damage is overwhelming. The advantage, ridiculous. Arteezy pops the cheese. He laughs at MP's face. He'll make short work of him here. This Korean squad has come a long way, but EG get the best of them in game 1. One last buyback for whatever it's worth. Very little in the end. EG had their number from start to finish. And MVP find themselves trailing 0-1 in the best of 3.
EG just had such a scary timing this game. When you hit that Lone Druid Radiance with Death Prophet Exism and you just go break the base, Ursa, well, he's terrible at pushing himself as a hero. He's great for breaking high ground when you have other heroes that kill the buildings, because he's a hero not afraid to blink past the tier 3 towers, blink deep in the enemy base because of what Enrage gives him, and because he often has an Aegis. You put an Aegis on him, he creates space for your push, and the Exism, the Lone Druid, they get the job done. They break the buildings, and EG just couldn't be stopped.
So in this game, we saw a fundamental clash in styles. On the one side, MVP playing their kill-centric, slightly greedy, multiple core ganking lineup. EG, just very safe, stable 5-man.
can the MVP style work against DG, or do they need to change it up?
They just need to do better lanes. Kuro just got 2 shut down mid, and that really just made it impossible for them to stand a chance in the mid game.
Maybe taking Earth Spirit off the table is an option here. We'll see. But with that, the analysts, they're going to break it down further as we get ready for game number 2.
Thank you very much, LD and Gods, and indeed we're back at the panel. We have a switched move for Scant. Welcome back, Scant. First of all, there were 38 kills that game. That means Capitalist, you won. But, I mean, it didn't go the way that we were expecting it to go. It wasn't as explosive of the early game as we were hoping it would be, as we knew it should be if MVP Phoenix would have had a chance against Evil Geniuses. How come they couldn't make that aggression possible? Was it...
They had Ember Spirit versus a Death Prophet mid.
Yeah, there was that.
And that didn't go well at all. And Universe died 2 times, transitioned into having his Radiance before the safe laner of MVP. And their Enchantress also didn't do that well. So, I mean, there was a lot of...
Was it a draft issue then only? Because it feels like...
I think
the Death Prophet was 4th pick.
Just the last pick. Just the last pick was what the problem was. Because Spectre is kind of the hero where they want to cover more bases, right? Say, okay, we can transition into a later stage in the game. Mu was talking about this synergy of saying, okay, we can go gank, we can haunt in, we can go for these kills, which is fine. But then you're putting a matchup for QO, who Cap was talking about is the guy that you want to have a breakout performance, in an unwinnable matchup. And then they pressure Universe, who's playing Lone Druid of all heroes, when QO is the guy who actually needs help.
Yeah.
So I think the MVP, the last pick kind of screwed them, and also the way that they decided to go about pressuring the offlaner so much instead of helping mid also was a problem.
I really thought they were going to be like smoking up with their supports. Maybe they move the Enchantress from the off lane, go gank that mid. Like, nah, they're like, you'll be fine, QO. No, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. We're killing Universe. It's all good. No, that was never going to work out. They required their Ember Spirit to control the game, and they were just like, yeah, you can have the crappiest laning phase in the world. You'll still control tempo just fine.
I know it's pretty late in the tournament, but I want to just go straight against the narrative that MVP is all about fight, that's all they do. I think that this is a team that likes to be aggressive. For me, the defining fact about MVP for over a year now has been that what's impressive about this team is that they will take a fight on its merits and nothing else. So it doesn't matter if they lost the last fight, it doesn't matter if they're behind, it doesn't matter if they're supposed to be behind, they're supposed to be the team farming. If they think they can win a fight, they're going to take a fight. Now, in this tournament, that's turned out meaning that they're fighting all the time. But like all of the best teams in the world, they can play whatever style they need to. And I think that they went into this game thinking, I don't think their plan was just fight. Honestly, if you look at the draft, I think...
Okay, but what was their plan? Because it did not work.
I think definitely part of their plan was to represent that they could fight, and you see at the end with that last pick Spectre, what that suggests to me is that they think EG's expecting them to just go all in fight. They pick heroes such that they can be part of those fights, but winning the game does not depend on just going fight. So for them, they're actually happy with a reasonable trade, kills here and there, the game goes later. The problem in that game is how, I agree with what everyone else said, how much Kyo gets shut down. It's not that they didn't make the kills they wanted to, it's that he himself gets shut down. And actually, I was talking before we started the panel about how about a year ago, a slightly different MVP team did take a game off a slightly different EG team. And that was where they completely shut Sumail out of the game. So actually a complete reverse in this game where Kyo gets shut out of the game versus Sumail getting shut out of the game. And I think for me, going into the next game, that's the kind of reversal that MVP will look for. They want to be the ones shutting down a key player, not having a key player shut down.
What do you think about that, Dreskel?
I would agree. I mean, the thing about this game that was really odd is it was a CM on EG, who EG have run in the past. It's a little bit of a hero who can do everything. You can be greedy with it, you can jungle. And for the most part of the game, it was pretty much just Fear rotating around, which obviously leaves two supports who could easily just go towards mid on the side of MVP, maybe get a kill. It's a Death Prophet. That hero is very gankable. It's like playing against a Zeus, for example. You go there, no escape, you get a Searing Chains on him, you get a follow-up disable or any kind of nuke, the hero just dies. I feel like MVP had the options, they just made the wrong calls.
We can actually hear what MVP had to say before the main event started, so during the group stages, as we have an interview with MVP Phoenix.
Mid laner for the MVP Phoenix and the captain. Yeah, nice to meet you guys.
came to China 3 times.
I've been to China 2 times. Once it was for WCA and the other time was for a trip.
There's nothing different from Korea, except for the weather maybe.
All 4 of them except for Dubu have good experience. I think they have like some of them have like better experience or more experience than me, but Dubu as a drafter, like he's the new one, and I think he has pretty talented skills of like drafting and like reading the game.
Because of TI, video of TI3 made me like focus on Dora. I don't know how to say.
Nothing is impossible. We are the flame.
Yeah, 2 years ago was when Dubu stepped into competitive Dota 2. He saw free-to-play. He's like, hey, I can do that. I can do that at top level, easy. And he has proven, I mean, he's top 4 here at the Shanghai Major, so that is really impressive. Back to that game that we just saw, though. Cap, what do you still have to say for MVP Phoenix? How did their plan fall apart? The laning stage behind us, you know, QO couldn't farm, QO couldn't define the tempo of the game. Could they have done anything to fix it in the mid game?
Not really.
Okay.
I mean, that's just the way it is. I'm going to disagree with Scant. They picked up Ember Spirit. They picked up Spectre. Those are 2 fighting cores. I really think that we've seen the narrative of MVP Phoenix set up about fighting over and over again. If you don't have a strong laning phase with those kind of cores, you're not going to transition that into anything that's really tangible. So if your plan is going into it going to be actually fighting occasionally, actually more than occasionally, because you have Spectre and Ember Spirit who rely on kills to be able to be like actual carries. In that case, you have to have a strong laning phase for the Ember Spirit. Once that went wrong, like once they didn't facilitate like something to
and so he has that much power in the lane, doesn't need their help as much. But I think that's a subtle way in which PPD put them ahead in the draft by putting them in a position where their supports can do pretty much whatever they want, and that gives them a lot of freedom early on.
I think MVP also put themselves in that spot, though. Like, if they pick anything else besides Spectre last pick, or, like, you know, avoid something like AM, just anything that can actually stay in the lane. Like, I don't know if MVP play it, but I know EG in the past, they pick stuff like Clinks. They pick a self-sufficient laning hero.
Okay.
Like, the hero itself, as long as it can stay against the lone druid and not just get completely demolished, it's fine. Because then you can actually gank for mid, you give QO a good start, all of a sudden the Death Prophet doesn't have, like, what was it, like 13, 14 minute Atos or something like that, and then that hero suddenly becomes, instead of burstable with your Lion, you could no longer kill it fast enough. And then Exorcism wins in the team fights, they secure Roshan's because they have an Ursa. And you didn't pressure the safe lane. It's just everything kind of collapses when the mid player who is on a tempo controlling hero gets wrecked that hard. And the other thing too is it's a tri-core or EG are running. Universe died twice in lane, had a 19-minute Radiance Midas. Like, you shutting him down didn't shut him down. It doesn't matter if you kill the lone druid. You have to actually dictate the pace of the game.
See, this is the thing. Like, if I had to construct what I'd guess was the thinking of MVP there, I think the plan for Ember versus DP is they're going to gank into the lane, and Ember lanes usually, even if it's not favorable, you make some kills, the lane becomes fine. So they're worried about the Earth Spirit protecting the lane. Then they pick a threat for the safe lane, hoping the Earth Spirit's going to actually move down. They spend a lot of time with the lone druid. But Fear didn't seem to really need to do that much. And so you saw they tried once or twice to gank into the mid lane. I think the first time the Venge came in to stun with the Ember Spirit, and Sumail just stood his ground, used the Spirit Siphon, and Cure had to run away. And at that point, if they start making 1 or 2 kills in the Death Prophet, actually the laning stage is okay. But I think EG is just too experienced a team. The players have a better understanding of where they need to be, and they realized, you know, if Sumail just plays the lane, well, he's not going to die, and there isn't that pressure. I do think there was an adjustment in the draft. Even just look at the fact that Cure, the player, has been playing Spectre all the time, and this was MP. Cure was playing Ember Spirit. So I think there was some kind of adjustment at some point where MVP changed their mind in the draft, and definitely they ended up in a weaker spot for it.
I could agree with that.
Anything to add about the previous game before we look towards the next game that we're going to have very soon?
I think that we haven't seen the best MVP that we can see. And I think moving forward, we're probably going to see a bit of a stronger draft.
And I think most important in that is probably mindset. Cap, you just come off a loss. You're MVP.
Whatever. They're top 4. Do you really at this point in time be like,
yes?
Oh God, I'll worry about it. We're gonna get knocked out of this tournament.
They're up against evil geniuses.
They're up against the TI
come on,
champions.
they're not here to get top 4.
It's
they're
fine.
here to win this
They're
thing.
okay with losing game 1. I think I'm sure they're mentally perfectly acceptable place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's hope for them that we see that in the draft of the game 2 as well. We don't have that yet, but I do want to hear from you guys. What would you like to see change? Which bands, for example, would you want to see different?
I think that in terms of MVP, the Darkseer ban was good.
Yeah.
I was talking about how much I wanted to see Universe on a hero, so
Exactly.
obviously I'm going to be on the side of MVP with that. So
And
I
they
don't think
banned Batrider as well.
Yeah, I think that they're focusing Universe a lot. I think you could probably let the bat through only because of the fact that if you do that, it lets you secure something like perhaps the Earth Spirit, because we were saying how EG do prioritize picking the bat very early on. And if you open yourselves up something that's a little bit more mobile during the laning phase and you can actually dictate the early lanes a little bit better, control your safe lane, control mid simultaneously, then I think that puts MVP in a spot where they can snowball, like Moose said, and that's kind of what they are specialized in. I think that sometimes they kind of are at a loss as to what to do when they're behind. Like we saw, like towards the end of the game, they're just literally going for smokes that have very little success chance because they realize that they've drafted themselves and played into such a position where you have to go for some kind of play. I think if they're behind, it's going to be really hard for them. Like some teams can make the play in the clutch and say, okay, this is the move that brings us back. But I think MVP struggle in that situation.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'd really like to see them setting up better to convincingly put pressure on Sumail early on. It's what I said at the start of the panel, and I really feel like the whole let's hope that the Crystal Maiden and Earth Spirit are somewhere else and we'll gang Sumail thing, I don't really buy it, and I feel like that's the key for MVP in this game. I think that Arteezy and Universe often coming out of the lane stage are still catching up on certain key items. They have to finish those items before they get as involved in the game. But if Sumail gets the lane stage he wants, then EG are set up already from the end of the lane stage to take the fight. So if they shut down Sumail, then they can come out rolling with the momentum as the lane stage ends and get the game they want.
Do you feel like they need to try and focus on a long game? You know Evil Genius is always going to be greedy. They're always going to get something out of the laning stage. If you want to try to fight and end early, you probably have to make sure that you are able to get more out of that purely by lanes, because you're not going to get it by trying to out-farm them, I feel, like on your own turf.
I think that's a fair assessment. The experienced team is usually the team you don't want to go late game against.
Yes.
Like people talk about Alliance all the time. EG are pretty much the same. They have very good decision making when it comes to mid late game. If you go to that stage with them, there's a good chance that you're going to lose because of one bad play, and that's really all it takes. And also, just as a side question, what is the average game length of MVP? Because I can't imagine it's that long. Most of the drafts that they pick have a tendency to either win or lose.
I'm pretty sure they still don't have a 35-minute game. Did they have one? Unless they had one this morning.
I mean, that's just insane, right?
Game yet. That's actually hilarious.
Yeah.
So I mean, if I'm looking at that statistic alone, and I'm going up against EG, I'm going, I don't want to go past 35 minutes if I don't have to, because it feels like that's where they are more comfortable playing.
How are you going to stop them from being greedy? They seem to be able to do it in every single game.
Well, this is the thing. Remember how MVP lost against Liquid in the upper brackets? I think that they expect EG, or even if they were to go up against Alliance or go up against Secret, to play similarly. The top Western, most experienced teams, Liquid beat them by picking Tusk and Treant Protector and then just punishing their aggression. And so even though I agree that MVP want to take fights, I think that they're a smart enough team to recognize that their experienced opponents know that if they go all-out aggression early on, they know how to punish them. So they're going to set themselves up in a way that can fight, and they definitely, the way that they usually get ahead in the game is via fights. But I think it's more nuanced than that in this case. I think that they don't expect EG to just fold and roll over if they run at them. So they need to drop the can fight, but they need to also be able to pick the right timings. And that's you saying what other than the lane stage, but honestly, I think the lane stage is the key factor.
But that's why. Like, how are you going to make sure that they don't get that much in the laning stage? That's the point, right? And
you
it almost feels like you have to try and bait Evil Geniuses into thinking you're going late game, but then you're not.
I don't think you can.
But you can't do that.
You can't trick a team. Like, they're going to see your heroes and they're going to understand your timing very well.
No, but how are you going to do that? Like, explain this. This is the question that MVP is struggling with.
I don't know. There were two tricks already in this tournament, which were very noticeable, and they both failed. I don't know if you're at the eHome where they went for the CTY Darkseer surprise.
I thought that was a misclick, though. I read that.
No. They actually tweeted afterwards saying it was a pocket strat, and they actually did scrimmage.
Yes.
So he played that hero before.
Yep.
Yes, they had practiced that.
Yeah.
Wow.
That goes to show how really bad eHome were.
And I remember,
like,
I don't know which team they scrimmed it against, but I remember that the team that was scrimming them said, well, we thought they were, just playing with us. Because you never know how serious a team is in a scrim, right? They can just... Yeah, they can just play you, and pretend to be doing
it's
things.
like you approach that if you're scrimming and you're in that position, and they're like CTY Darkseer. They're like, they're not taking this scrim seriously. Yes. Like they're just sandbagging this. This is unacceptable, But
you know what's funny?
Yeah, it was.
The other standout for me, surprise secret pick was Alliance themselves. So they beat eHome when it was CTY Darkseer, and then when Alliance got knocked out, they did the EGM Darkseer. They started with the Darkseer and ended up having a Nature's Prophet for Bulldog.
Mind game, see? That's
what we learned from these two games is if you're gonna pick Darkseer, just put it in the off lane. Just
don't do anything crazy. I mean, I'm okay with like a 1v1 in the safe lane too, if you're gonna go aggro. Like just give him a lane where
if you're not CDY.
Yeah, if you're he actually got wrecked in that lane. I was so sad when I watched that.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Bulldog won that game.
I'm pretty sure Bulldog was very happy when he watched that.
I mean, it's one thing to, I try not to be biased when I talk about teams, right? But so you watch a 1v1 matchup and sometimes you just can't make an excuse. It's just like he got wrecked. And that actually kind of lost him the game. So it was unfortunate.
Absolutely. A lot of people, I think someone said on the panel after that match that it wasn't actually that close. And I felt like the match was close. I think Admiral Bulldog kept Alliance in that game. I honestly think that if he didn't have such a good game, if CTY did better, eHome might have been in the tournament till now. I mean, probably not because of other performances, but...
We're going to find out what's going to happen in this second game, though, for MVP Phoenix taking on Evil Geniuses. In the draft of game number 2, we're going to have Dire side for MVP Phoenix this time, with first pick for Evil Geniuses. So they did swap this around. We can only guess of who chose what. If maybe MVP Phoenix tried to deny pick Dire for them, or Evil Geniuses just wanted to get that first pick. Earth Spirit still in the pool, by the way.
Yeah, but did MVP just ban Earth Spirit here?
Last time they banned Batrider here.
10 seconds remaining.
But I think in this situation, Fear did so much work last game.
5 seconds
and if we're talking about how important the laning phase is,
Earth Spirit is the hero.
Earth Spirit is the hero to ban at that point.
Yep, and if you give away an Earth Spirit and you plan to win the lane phase, it's usually not actually by out-killing the opponent. It's by just avoiding them killing you and farming, and certainly that's not the way that MVP usually get advantage.
No, they go for the bat again. Does Evil Geniuses actually pass up on the opportunity of going for Earth Spirit here? There's
when
almost no way. Is there?
Yeah, this is when you just, you first pick Earth Spirit, and then... Are they just going to go Ench 2 games in a row? Yep.
You just pick Earth and give them the all-chat question mark.
This time it's Invoker. I think that's a very big difference. I mean, if it was an Invoker in the last game against the Death Prophet instead of the Ember Spirits, it changes the dynamics substantially.
Yeah, same opening from
Why Fix was not broken, right?
Well, it's funny you say that because PPD has famously said more than once that he doesn't think people should do the same thing twice in a row because we're not going to lose to the same thing twice in a row, but obviously he thinks his opponents can still lose to the same thing twice in a row.
Well, it's only 2 heroes so far, and you can't really... I mean, Ursa is a comfort zone hero, I think, for EG at this point. Like, Artur has played it more than a few times.
Yeah, it's his 4th time this tournament.
Yeah, and I think that Earth Spirit itself is just so good as a hero that it warrants first picking.
Maybe picking the same thing twice in a row would force your enemy to think about that they gotta ban out the heroes that you picked last time, rather than banning out the heroes that they banned last time. In this case, it would have been Puck and Invoker that the MVP actually banned out, but Puck would have still been in the pool.
Well, they've picked the Invoker themselves, so why need to ban that?